Hi everybody, it's Helen from the yard here, and today I'm going to read you another story. Marty is a busy mouse, and this is by our very good friend Elizabeth McIvor. So if we're all ready, let's get reading. Marty Mouse lived in Pansy Cottage, in a cosy cupboard under the stairs, he said. Mr. Gilbert saw Marty there, but he didn't mind at all. Mr. Gilbert was always busy in his garden. Lots of pansies grew everywhere around. Here we are, there's Marty in the garden with Mr. Gilbert. I do love pansies, he said. Marty agreed. He loved the pretty colours too. Apricot, yellow, blue and white. Orange, purple and red, he said. Mr. Gilbert smiled. He had seen Marty in his cupboard under the stairs, and in the old bell tower where Marty liked to play. Marty liked the large bells in the old tower. Ding dong merrily, the bells rang on special days. I wish I could ring the old tower bells, Marty thought, but he shook his head. I am only a mouse, he said. Mrs. Broom didn't like to see a mouse anywhere at all. She kept the tower house tidy, making everything shiny and bright. Marty had seen her one rainy day. He kept quiet and still when he sat in the doorway. But Mrs. Broom had got a terrible fright. "A mouse!" she shrieked. "A mouse!" Can you see her? There she is there. Oh, she's got a bit of a fright from Marty, hasn't she? Marty gasped. "I'm a friendly mouse," he tried to say, but Mrs. Broom didn't hear. With a clang and a crash, she dropped her broom, and she ran off as fast as she could. "Oh dear," Marty groaned, "I'll never ring the tower bells now." Mr. Gilbert heard the news. "I'll call to see Mrs. Broom tomorrow," he said. The next day, Mr. Gilbert filled a basket full of pansies. There we are. Isn't that lovely? What a lovely thing to do. Then he set off. Marty kept out of sight. "I mustn't frighten Mrs. Broom again," he said. "Good morning, Mrs. Broom," Mr. Gilbert said. "I've come to explain." Mr. Gilbert smiled. "Marty is a friendly mouse," he said. "He didn't mean to harm you." Mr. Gilbert shook his head. "He didn't mean to harm you at all." Mrs. Broom smiled when she saw the pansies. She felt a little better. "Thank you for telling me," she said, "and thank you for the pansies." It was then that Marty had an idea. Lots of ivy climbed up the old bell tower, but they aren't any pansies, Marty thought. Mr. Gilbert agreed. "I must surprise Mrs. Broom," Marty said. From then on, Marty was very busy. Yeah, look, he's thinking about the bell tower. He's got some beautiful pansies in his hand. He scampered up and down the ivy. He scurried around the tower house yard. He climbed into window boxes and hanging baskets too. When he was done, Marty had planted lots of pansy seeds. "Now we must wait," Mr. Gilbert said. Marty was excited when summertime came, and Mrs. Broom got a big surprise. She gasped and looked around. Bright pansies grew up the ivy in the old bell tower. Pansies grew all around the yard and in hanging baskets too. Can you see? Look how beautiful that looks. So much beautiful colour. Mr. Gilbert's old wheelbarrow was brimming full of pansies. The bell tower yard looked very pretty, and Mrs. Broom was very happy. She smiled and looked around. "Marty is a friendly mouse," she said cheerfully. Soon afterwards, the bells rang out on one special day. Mr. Gilbert beamed his brightest smile. He was ringing the old tower bells, and Marty sat snugly on his hat, for he was ringing the tower bells too. Everyone cheered, and Marty chuckled with glee. "Oh, what an amazing book! That one's called Marty is a Busy Mouse by our very good friend Elizabeth McIvor. I hope you liked that story, and we should have another one ready for you really soon. Thank you for joining me. Bye everybody.